What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. My name is Ryan Linkletter. I'm here with Louie. We're talking ball. We're talking Cleveland Browns football. Could this be the draft class that the Cleveland Browns finally become a stable force in football? What are your thoughts?
I actually was thinking about that too here today, and of like which with the Miles Garrett conversations, and I want to believe them when they say that they don't want to trade him and that this negotiation wasn't about that, because I just can't see them wanting to take a step back right now. Not that they're anywhere close to where they need to be, but I think they have they have really good draft capital this year. I think this owner really wants is feel how you want about the guy, but I think this owner wants to have Deshaun Watson be the guy so he can try
He
to
has so
warrant
much invested in him. He's got to throw it all into Sean until the wheels fall off.
nothing more. I think he wants nothing more than that to work out even 1 year, and where they can say, all right. So if that's really the mindset, which I want to believe, and I want to believe that this contract change was not due to freeing up an ability to trade. I think that they're going to just try to piece together a team, because they are pretty strong in a few different areas. It's just really the quarterback position that obviously is most important.
Yeah, and Browns are once again, have one of the best defenses in the NFL this upcoming year. We'll see if that defense can carry them to a playoff berth. Let's pull up the mock draft simulator on Blitz Sports Media. All 7 rounds free. You can do trades, you can do whatever you want. We don't have a paywall with our mock draft simulator, so make sure you go check it out. We're going to auto draft until our slot right here, and with the way the board fell at pick 6, we had Carnell Tate get snagged right in front of us, who has been rumored to potentially go to the Cleveland Browns. And I don't know about you, Francis Mauga being here at the 6th slot would make the most sense. It really does feel like the Browns are leaning wide receiver, whether that's Carnell Tate, or an offensive tackle, whether that is Francis Mauga or Spencer Fano at that slot. What are your thoughts?
Exactly the same. I feel that it's going to be one of those three guys that they probably want Tate to fall, but they would be fine taking either of those tackles. I think this is how the board works, right? Like if Tate goes, then they will get their choice of the two tackles. I don't think that either of those two will end up going in the top 5. So that's like a perfect world for them as far as where they're going. There are two different things here. Because of how we talked about maybe them wanting to go for it and build a little bit more team depth, I wouldn't be shocked to see them trade back from here and try to with the depth of this class, maybe trying to get 3 or 4 starters within the first 2 rounds, as they already have a second first rounder. I wouldn't be shocked to see that. I do think that they would probably go with the tackle here in this situation. So I think we could go ahead and just do that. Caleb Downs too is like, I mean, they need a safety, and that guy is like, to me, the best player in the draft at his position overall. I think that they would at least have to think about that.
Yeah, I think the Browns are in a position where they have so much draft capital too, and they know it's not a quarterback draft. If they really want to say, hey, we're wasting another year of Myles Garrett's prime and just go for a quarterback next year, I wouldn't be surprised. If I was a general manager, it's probably the route I would go, because if you don't have a franchise quarterback, you don't have a chance, especially on the AFC side of stuff. And Cleveland here sitting at pick 24. There's some interesting pieces available. Clearly some great defenders here. You scroll down this list, you got Casey Concepcion, who's been a heavy target for them in this slot. We're going to check out the quarterback position. Ty Simpson is still there. I don't think he's going to be a Cleveland Brown, but it's definitely a possibility at that slot. What are you thinking here with pick 24?
I'm completely taking quarterback off of my my board for Cleveland Browns. I think that, between Gabriel and the Shador thing last year, that was kind of mocked a little bit, no pun intended, but mocked that they did that and kind of made fun of, and they put themselves in some bad situation. Now you got them, the owner basically saying that he wants Watson to be a part of this competition. I would say that they're going to fade that, so I wouldn't consider that at all. I do think it's got to be the wide receiver here. I didn't see if Cooper Jr. went. I would say that he might fit them more. It looks like he's gone.
Yeah,
right?
Cooper's gone at this point.
I like Concepcion. I just don't know if he is. I don't think he's a true number one. I think he's just gonna be a really good slot gadget guy. That's gonna really like he could go to a really good offense and be great. I just don't know if this would fit the Browns as much. But that doesn't mean the Browns won't make the wrong choice and take him. So I think the wide receiver is the smart pick here.
Yeah, I like it. Casey Concepcion, a lot of mock drafts having him going to Cleveland at that 24 slot. And, we're coming right back up here at pick 39. That's the benefit of being a bad team with a ton of draft capital. We have a ton of picks and, a lot of really good talent available for the Cleveland Browns. And, they're sitting there. Oh man, it is tough because Cleveland does have a lot of needs, and Pregnon's gone. I don't really love the offensive guard class after that. They could be in a situation where best available potentially makes sense for them, and I think adding to the cornerback room based on who's available, like a guy like Avion Terrell, would make a ton of sense for this team.
That's my guy, and I know they're strong there, but I was going to voice exactly what you just said. We see that very similar. I think that maybe if there was a guard that was there, they would go back to the offensive line here. I love Terrell. I'm really big. Well, you'll probably hear me say this 30 more times throughout. I mean, there's not a lot of guys in this draft, but I'm very, very big in Bloodline. I always that's what bumps my takes over if I got guys on the even tier. Like it just there's too many examples of second generation, third generation guys that do well. I really like Terrell the player. I think he'll be a day one starter. Really good to do that in the second round.
Cleveland doesn't have the youngest secondary either, and I think adding
No.
a youth guy in there is definitely something that they could look at. And they're in a great spot at that pick, and I think a lot of the teams mixed in that 30 to 40 slot are sitting pretty this year because the gap between, I want to say, 20 to 45 is pretty thin. So you could get a good value on a lot of these guys depending on how the board falls. And I mean, even see Caleb Banks falling all the way to 51 in our draft due to some injury concerns. And, we're coming back up here, pick 70. Traden Stukes, absolutely love the talent. One of my favorite safeties in this class. You know, I do think they wind up going offensive line again in this slot. I see Kalen Ratledge. Is there anybody else that, is intriguing for you in this position?
I I hate to keep on just mirroring your thoughts, but I like Stukes a lot, and there is a need for a starting safety there. Um, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm breaking down offensive line talent. So I don't. I know this is probably just a sexier pick to say, but it's not like they don't need a second. They need a starting safety. So I think Stukes could again come in and be a starter day one.
Let's do it. Let's lock him in there. All right. So Cleveland, where are we coming up next? I think we got a little bit of a break here. Yeah, 107. Maybe. So 107, I do think there's going to be some good value potentially in these interior offensive linemen. We will see, or even a swing tackle if they wanted to go that route. And here we are, 107, taking a look at some of these guys. Jalen Kilgore, a guy I want to mention, doesn't make sense as we went Stukes. I think he'd fit really well in Cleveland's defense. And I do like the wide receivers available here. So if I'm on the clock right now, I know Cleveland already went Casey Concepcion. A completely different receiver than him is Bryce Lance. He's more of a perimeter guy, exclusively a deep threat. He's very different than what Jerry Jeudy, Casey Concepcion bring to the table. And the Browns just need more talent in that receiver room. So we're sitting here in the fourth round and we're getting two receivers just like that.
I really like that idea. I think there's enough depth there that we'll probably have a fun guy next round for an option. The reason why I'm hesitant is that I love Jake Slaughter, and I know that they just signed the center from the Packers, but I mean, journeyman wouldn't be great.
Yeah.
I mean, Jake Slaughter
it's not going to stop them from getting a guy.
Yeah, I like he like third highest impact score in the nation. Played every snap of center there in Florida the last 2 years. Already obviously calling out blitzes, you're doing all that communication. He can play guard if they wanted to move him over to the guard. I do think he's probably the center, and then maybe they would move the forgot his name, the signee from Packers. Maybe they move him to guard because that's a spot. Because if it's a spot of need, I think going Slaughter would be more strong here, and then I think the wide receivers will get like another good look at the next pick because there's a lot of guys I love in this range.
Yeah. I mean, Jacoby Lane's still sitting here at 146.
I think
that would
that's
have been
Lane is to your point, like exactly different from from Concepcion and makes sense there. And I do think that they draft 2 wide receivers at some point.
So my question for you is Jaeger Burton. What are your thoughts on him as a prospect? You talked about Slaughter. Is it just a situation where you think center is the move or offensive line in general?
I think just interior linemen. So I think that they need mostly a guard. Like I said, they signed him to a 1-year deal, so they could have a short-term answer at center. But I think that they messed up there. They got so messed up there in the interior line between Teller leaving and they lost their other guard. So like they need interior guys for sure. So I guess at this point it's name your interior lineman that you like. Another guy I think is that I like in this range is Fabechi Nuayu. That is from Oklahoma. He's another interior guy that is right around this range. But yeah, I think that's the route that they go here. Did you end up? I'm sorry, clicking around. Did you end up going Slaughter last pick?
No, I went Lance with that one. I locked it in really quickly.
You went with Lance. Okay.
Yeah, I think we go.
So then,
interior.
go back here.
Yeah. So you want to go? Where is he at? You want to go the guy from Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's lock him in, and then I want to talk about another guy if he's still here. Yes, he's still here. So at all positions, Deontay Lawson being available at this point in the draft, falling this far makes so much sense with Jock and his return. Probably not happening at this point. Adding a little bit more linebacker depth. Carson Schlesinger, one of the better players in the NFL last year, getting more linebacker help is kind of needed because without Jock, that room's very thin. I think Lawson at 149 would be a steal for this team at this point.
Yeah, I mean, ninth best ranked linebacker at PFF, and they do need, they have zero depth at the position after they lost it, and he's not a pressure guy, but he's a chase and run guy and has a lot of athleticism. I think that's a good little depth move for him there at that point, and a great value, like you said, probably 2 rounds later than most mocks have him going.
Yeah, and then you got 206 here. We're back up, and all positions available. Are there any players like towards the end of this draft? I know I'm checking real quick. I don't know if we have another pick. We have one more pick after this. Are there any players that you find yourself targeting for the Browns or any team in general this late?
Yeah, I know we went corner, I think, with one of our picks, but I like Lorenzo Styles a lot, and that's again going back to my point about Blood. I don't know if he's still there. He might be.
No, he's gone. Yeah, Styles is gone.
So I like him a lot there at the end. Trying to see the wide receiver room. Can you pull that up? Sorry.
You want to see some more wide receivers?
Oh, well, we did 2 wide receivers already. So
you got McAllister, you got Rivers.
Yeah, I mean, here it's, I would say, probably going back to the line, whether it be, I think that they have at least 2. I know we drafted 2 of them, but they have 2 immediate openings and 0 depth. So,
yep.
I
Drew
said,
Shelton's
I kind of want to pay quarterback. Who is it?
Drew Shelton from Penn State, still sitting at this point. Might be a.
That's a kind of guy that usually is gone by here, and most mocks you'll look. So yeah,
might as well. We'll take the value on him and make our draft look a little bit better. So we have 2 tackles and we have a guard coming in for the Browns. So, and you look at some of these guys at the guard position. I want to see if the guy from Michigan State's still there. No, he's gone. So like, we're digging down the board pretty deep on interior offensive line. At this point, we have 2 tackles we're bringing in. Based
I'd
on
say
who's
probably,
here,
yeah, I'd say probably an edge guy. If
probably. I
there
mean, we
is
got Mason
anything there,
Riger.
just I mean, to at least we got to at least consider the Garrett thing as somewhat a possibility. I think probably trying to get that depth. It's not like they have depth behind him, so maybe some depth there.
Yeah, Mason Riger, highest rated guy from Wisconsin, or TJ Guy or Mason Riger.
Let's go. Your first guy there.
Let's go Riger. All right, bet. Let's lock him in. That's our Browns draft class.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I continue to do in all these is the versatility at all these different positions. Like, I mean, we added young cornerback depth. We got multiple offensive linemen coming in for Todd Munkin's system. We get 2 different wide receiver options that are completely different than each other. Traden Stukes is mixed in there as well, who could compete for a starting safety spot this year. I don't know about you, but this seems like an A+ draft for the Browns.
I would be ecstatic with that as a Browns fan, and specifically for a couple reasons. And I know we guided it, so whatever. But I mean, I think the biggest thing there that would excite me about as a Browns fan is the fact that they didn't go quarterback and muddy those numbers at all, muddy those waters at all. I just think outside of Mendoza, it's a real shit show. I'm not really, I don't think any of the quarterbacks are really going to pan out. So figure out what, they got to figure that out in this off season and have that competition. But even if this all goes awry and they don't find their quarterback this year, this is a draft that will really round out the rest of the team pretty good, to where once they figure out the quarterback position, they'll be in a really good spot.
Yeah, and that's what I think you got to do if you don't have that quarterback locked in. And Cleveland, I don't think they got that right now, and they're going to be waiting for next year's class to see if they have that. Well, guys, drop a comment down below. What would you grade me and Louis' draft? Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content, and we will catch you guys next time.